Hi everyone, this is Esther with Silly Tilly Face Painting. This is a tutorial on line busting 1-minute face paint designs using my custom practice board and my phone timer. As you can see, if I were at an event, my setup would be ready with water, brushes, sponges, and activated paint, as you can see here in my kit. I will attempt to describe my work as I go and will include informational links below. Let's get started. This is a cat design. I start my timer. I first spray my sponge lightly in order to load it up with paint. This is the Split Cake by Tag called Fairy Floss. I squeeze my sponge together in order to create a smaller surface area, and I use it to create a forehead, ears, and cheeks as a base for the cat design. I then get my liner brush. I'm using a number 3 by Low Cornell. I gather my black and do teardrops in the center of the forehead as tufts of hair. And then I do the muzzle of the cat in order to allow the base to dry. I do my little nose. It's a very curved shape. And I add little dots for whiskers. I then outline the ears and do little tufts of hair on the inside to give it more depth. I then use my black to outline the cheeks of the cat, and there you go. This is a quick Spiderman design. I spray my sponge on the flat side with my clean water and rub it around in the red in order to pick up the paint. I then use the edge of my sponge to create the outline of the mask. As you can see, the outline is triangular in shape over the child's eyes. I then use my sponge to create the forehead area and fill it in with red. I'm rubbing on my practice board, but you may have to blot the red on the child's face in order to get better coverage. Then, in order to create thick black lines, I use my filbert brush as a liner brush. I coat it with paint and use it to make thick lines for the Spiderman webs. I twist the brush as I go down in order to make the lines thinner. I then outline the eyes using a similar technique and, using thick to thin lines, do the web in between. There you go, all done. This is my pirate design. I use my 1-inch flat brush on a global split cake. These split cakes are very small, so you have to brush your brush in the same direction a couple of times in order to make sure that the paint doesn't smear on itself. I then use the brush on the child's forehead, alternating sides in order to create a striped effect of the pirate bandana. Continue your way up the child's face for as far as you wish to go. Then I use the brush to do a circular design to create a little knot and swipe it down and twist a little in order to create a fringe. Then, in order to do my outlining and my pirate eye patch, I pick up my filbert brush with black. The filbert brush is thicker than my liner, and that's why I chose it to use it to outline my design. I do a quick outline of my knot with a little thing in it, and there you go, all done. This is my princess crown design. I have several brushes that I use for my 1-strokes. This is a angle brush. It is also a 1-inch, and I'm using it, again, stroking several directions in order to load the brush properly with paint. I then mark the center of the crown where I want it to be and fill it in, creating a sort of upside down teardrop for the center of the crown. I use the edge of the brush to fill in the blank spaces. Then, by putting it down flat and twisting it as I drag, I can create a really pretty design around the centerpiece. I keep going until I've reached the end of the child's face. Here I was a little bit unsure as to how I wanted to finish, so I'm sorry. I then get my very large number 10 liner round brush, and I use it in my white to create teardrops at the base of the centerpiece and around it, just for interest. You're welcome to do whatever kind of design you like, but you get the basic idea, and there you go. This is my frog design that goes around the child's mouth. A lot of kids like it because it animates with their mouth. I use a 3/4 inch short angled brush loaded up with yellow around the base of the child's chin all the way up to their lip in order to create the belly of the frog. It saves time to wipe your brush on your towel. I get it wet again and then load it up with green. I use the green to kind of create rounded eye shapes just to the left and right of the child's nose area, and then drag it down to create a body. I do one large rounded elongated oval to the sides with little dashes for feet. I then pick up my number 3 round brush loaded up with black and use it to outline the eye, body, knees, and feet of the frog. It goes really quickly. I then use the brush to do my eyes. It's a rounded shape with another rounded up line on the bottom, and then fill in my little dot for the eye. There you go. This is my dolphin design. I pick up my 3/4 short angled brush and one of my blue to white global one-stroke cakes, going several times in each direction to load my brush. I mark the area where I want the dolphin's body to go so I get my proportions correctly, and then as I keep the heel down, I move the toe around and create a comma shape with the dolphin's body. I drag out and down in order to create the fins, and then I use a slightly rounded teardrop to make the muzzle, whatever it is called on a dolphin, and then there's the dorsal fin in the back, kind of triangular in shape as well. I then take my black number 3 round brush to create the eye. The eyes are all fairly the same, and paint on a child's face will dry faster than on my board, so you'll see it better. But then I take my large number 10 round brush to create white splash marks kind of around the dolphin where it's jumping out of the water, and looks really fun. I decide to add a couple dots for interest as well. And there you go. It's about a minute. It's kind of hard to see on my practice board here, so I'm going to try to get it to where you can see the contrast of colors. Oh, there you go, 1 minute, 6 seconds. And here you go, there you go. This is a really quick rainbow design. Because I'm practicing on a face board instead of a child, the paint dries differently, so I start off with my white, but you're welcome to, start off with the rainbow itself and then do the detail white later. As you can see, I'm just doing a basic crown with the teardrops. Do it again on the side of the face, going up, showing the start and stop points of my rainbow. And then I take my 3/4 inch angle brush. This is not a short one, so it's a little bit harder for me to work with, but then I load it up, going several directions with my global rainbow cake. I only did one side because that's all I need. I hold it flat, swipe down, and there you go. I think I used my brush to, I decided to do a couple more dots just for interest because it looked a little too blah. But there you go. This is my rainbow princess crown, which is a little different shape than my rainbow design. First, I'm using the white again first just because the practice boards dry a lot slower than skin does. So I'm doing the detail first with the center of my princess crown, and then I use my my angle brush. It could be 1 inch, 3/4 inch. 1 inch usually will give you a bigger design, a thicker design. Going several times in each direction on my global mini cake, and then starting in the center, I swipe it up in order to make my princess crown. You can add a couple more dots for interest. Dots look best in groups of 3 or, in slightly different sizes and varying shapes. Use your imagination. The last design I'm going to show you for this tutorial is a rose crown. Now, in order to keep this under a minute or around a minute, I have to go very quickly and not use a lot of detail. So I'm basically just using my 3/4 inch short angle brush and my rose global 1 stroke. You want to make sure that the lighter color is on the toe of the brush, or the outside of the petals, I should say. As you can see, I'm kind of doing the petal brushes and the petal strokes first, and then putting it down and swiping it around to make the crown area around the child's head. I'm doing this in order to let the first layer of the rose dry. And again, skin works a lot differently than the practice board, so that's why I have to go over it so much. You don't want your paintbrush to be too wet either for these 1 strokes. Now I kind of do a rounded middle with a U shape underneath and swipe, 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 swipe while changing the direction of my brush in order to make petals, again with the white on the outside edge. Now, because I only had a minute, I had to do that really fast and couldn't do any extra details. But it looks really good on the face, especially if you use a large brush. It adds a lot of impact. So there you go. I hope you found all these tutorials very helpful, and we'll see you next time.